welcome back to my, I don't know why I just did that. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about things in Singapore that basically are kind of strange and a bit weird to people from like a British background. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking through a few things that to a Westerner or to a foreigner may seem a little strange, but it's like completely the norm in Singapore and something you get very used to. I just realised quite how shiny my face was, and as you can see, I have a sunglasses mark on my nose because someone didn't put enough sun cream on the weekend. The first few things I want to talk about are eating and drinking habits in Singapore. Food is a massive deal in Singapore. Like, everyone's lives revolve around food, whether that's meeting up for someone for breakfast, lunch or dinner. Life revolves around food, which I guess is a thing in the UK, but out here it's just like on a completely another level. Yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is how easy it is to take away food from restaurants, cafes, little coffee shops. It's the norm to eat and drink on the go, and they have a very interesting way of doing it. For example, you can order a drink, whether that be iced coffee, hot coffee, iced tea, things like that, and they will serve it in a plastic bag, which sounds strange, and I'm hoping I can just put in a picture here somewhere about what it looks like. But it's just like a little carrier plastic bag. I've never tried it because I'm just a bit concerned about like the cleanliness of it, but a lot of people do it and it is quite funny, and I guess it's good if you're on the go. Yeah, a little strange. And then a second thing that is a little odd about food and drink is that when you do take away food, often it will just be wrapped up in paper. Like, you could get a rice dish and it's just wrapped up in paper and you just eat it out of the paper. That's what they do. You just do as they do. Another thing that is interesting about food and drink in Singapore is that everything is served with chili. Everything. I'm not talking like chili con carne chili, I'm talking about chili sauce, like hot chili sauce. Everything is served with it. And even when I ask for like just a small amount of chili, just like because I do want flavour but I don't want to like burn my tongue off, even if I'm just asking for a small amount of chili, they will just throw this huge tablespoon on, and I'm just like, I can't cope with this kind of heat. But yeah, everything comes with chili. So yeah, that's something you have to get used to. Okay, another thing you get used to when living in a tropical country like Singapore is the array of different bugs and creepy crawlies that tend to be around. So I'm quite lucky because I live in like a high-rise hall block, so a lot of the bugs like can't get in because we're on like quite a high floor. But occasionally you do get the odd bug, and they tend to be a little bit bigger than most bugs in the UK. So I'm talking cockroaches, which are bad enough anyway, but cockroaches that fly, so that's not fun. Grasshoppers that are quite gigantic and very gross. The other day I saw this weird cockroach looking thing with these massive antennae. Like, I don't even know what it was. It's just disgusting. Spiders, I've been lucky in halls I haven't seen spiders at all, which is good because I am a complete arachnophobe. I don't know if that's right, but I'm scared of spiders. I've seen a few when I've been on hikes and treks that are huge. It makes me sick thinking about it. Like, yeah, very, very, very big spiders. And oh, massive moths. Like, the moths here are just huge, and even the butterflies are quite big, and like, I don't mind butterflies, but they're quite big here. It's kind of gross. And also, like, we have monkeys. Monkeys are kind of the norm around here. Like, they've been in our canteen before. One ended up in our TV lounge in our halls. Yeah, so that's something, I mean, it's rare, but it does happen. Another thing you kind of get used to when you live in Singapore is the way Singaporeans speak, which is called Singlish. So it's a mix of Singaporean, which is a massive mix of different cultures, and then English. It definitely took me a bit of getting used to that. I remember the first few days here, I was on the bus and I didn't understand anything that anyone was saying around me. Like, I honestly thought they were speaking another language, but it was just English. Like, they are speaking English. I've got something in my mouth. They are speaking English, but it just sounds so strange. The only way I can describe it is broken English with what I think is like a strong Indian accent. It's just strange, but you definitely get used to it. So yeah, it's kind of things like they put little words on the end of sentences, like they say like okay la, which is like they just add la, le, and lo on the end of words, which I don't really know why, but whatever. And then also they use the verb can as a question and an answer, which is so strange. So like they say things like can ha, which is like are you sure, and then they say can la, like yes I can, and it just gets very confusing. We kind of don't really use can that much in our vocabulary, but they use it all the time. So yeah, that's something quite different. And then another thing is they refer to kind of the older generation, like I'm talking maybe 40 plus. Women are known as aunties and men are known as uncles, which is really strange. So like when I first came here, people were just referring to like staff in a coffee shop and canteen as like, when they said like, they just said thank you auntie, and then it's like, huh? Are you related? But it's just the way they refer to like the older generation, like you don't tend to know your friends' mum's names or your friends' dad's names. It's just auntie and uncle. That's just what you call it. Personally, I don't use it because it feels very strange to me, and I feel like most Singaporeans wouldn't expect that, considering like I'm a foreigner. But yeah, I'm getting used to it now, but it was a very strange thing at first. I was just like, is everyone related here? But no, it's just kind of a friendly way of saying kind of Mrs. or Mr., I guess. Another thing about Singapore is the weather. So basically we're right on the equator, which means it's a rainforest essentially. So it's very hot, very humid. We do get a lot of rain. And one thing I find quite funny is, first of all, the differences in temperature. So basically you're outside and it's 30 degrees plus, and it's very hot and you're very sweaty. And you go into a room or a shopping mall or a classroom and the aircon is on unbelievably high. Like I sit in my lessons in jeans, trainers, a hoodie, because it's so cold. Like there is no happy medium at all. It's absolutely freezing. So you always have to like carry a jumper or a cardigan or something just to like cover up, because it's crazy. They just have no regulation over like an average aircon temperature. It's just crazy. And another thing in regards to the weather is that Singaporeans hate the sun. They hate it. Like no one can understand the idea of getting a suntan. Like when I came over, I was like, oh, I need to get a suntan, like I'm just gonna go sunbathe by the pool. And they're like, huh? What are you doing that for? Like you've got pale skin, like it's great. They see pale skin as a form of beauty, which obviously in the UK it's very much the other way around. You kind of look very pale, very washed out if you've got like very white skin, and it's always the thing like, oh, you must have a tan, or I'll go get a tan, or get a spray tan or whatever. So that's very interesting. Like a lot of the girls, if they have darker skin, will just completely cover up all the time because they don't want to get more tanned, which I think is quite interesting. In regards to education, it's a little different. So you start off in primary school, which they call like primary 1, primary 2. Then you go into secondary school, known as like secondary 1, secondary 2, secondary 3. And then when you kind of hit 17, you either go to a junior college, which is known as a JC, or a polytechnic or a poly, which is a bit different to us because we have kind of sixth form and then just like normal college. Once you apply to university is known as school. I was very confused when everyone was like, oh, what school are you from? And I was like, I thought they meant like my faculty, so I was like, School of Humanities? They were like, huh? And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, oh, school. And I was like, okay. And they're like, university. I was like, what? Why on earth would you call university school? It was just a very strange concept to me, and I don't understand to this day why it's called school, but whatever. Like, one thing that a lot of Brits would not understand is how incredible Singaporeans are at queuing. They will queue for everything, and if that something is good and popular, they will queue for ages, and they don't complain about it, they just stand in the queue and get on with it, which I think is something that a lot of British people have to kind of learn to do, because we complain so much over like the tiniest of queues. But Singaporeans do it for a sport. Like, they will queue for anything. If they want it, they will queue for it. It's just another level of, I don't even know. I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. Something that's very different as well is how multicultural Singapore, how multicultural Singapore is. See, I'm turning Singaporean. I can't construct sentences properly. Yeah, so officially there are 4 ethnicities, and that is Chinese, Malay, Indian, and other. So I guess I'm classed as other. So that means because they're official by government policy, everything kind of has to be translated into 4 languages. So that's Chinese, Malay, I think it's Malay or Malaysian, I don't know exactly, Tamil, which is for Indian, and then English. So everywhere you see, it will be in 4 languages, which is quite a lot to take in. Yeah, it's pretty cool, and you're always hearing all these different languages and things being spoken, so it's nice. I like the fact that there's so many cultures here. It makes it a lot more interesting. Okay, so this bit relates to the MRT and like buses, basically. So I love the transport system out here. It's incredibly efficient, it's very, very clean, and it's super duper cheap. But the things I've noticed that are a bit strange is like literally everyone is on their phones. And like, I know this is becoming an issue in the UK, but honestly in Singapore, you sit on the train and everyone in the whole carriage is on their phones. And I think this is because unlike like the London Underground and such like things, the train system out here, you can get your 3G and your 4G data. So everyone is just constantly on their phones because they've all got internet. I don't have data on my phone, I've never had data, so I always just bring my own thing to do, or just kind of people watch on the train. So it is very interesting in that respect. And also the funny thing I find is Singaporeans complain when there's like literally a 5-minute delay on the trains, and I just think to myself, wow, these trains are coming like every 4 to 5 minutes on a regular basis, and then there's a delay of 5 minutes, which is like a massive deal for people out here, whereas back home you wait like in half-an-hour intervals for the train. So it's very funny. They've got such an efficient system and they're still complaining. They have no idea what it's really like at home. But I love the MRT here. Like I'm actually gonna miss that a lot. Like the transport system here is incredibly efficient and it's so cheap. Like a 2-hour journey across the country costs the equivalent of like £1. It's just amazing, absolutely amazing. And that brings me on to another thing I actually quite like about Singapore, and that is the crazy fines that they have for like petty things that we really don't think about in the UK. So for example, you'll get fined if you sell chewing gum. So that means that like basically no one has chewing gum and there's no chewing gum on any of the streets, which makes it so much cleaner. Like I don't think we even realise in the UK how dirty like our pavements are just because of chewing gum. Like it's so much better, it's so much better. So I think that's something that we should really implement. It would make it a lot cleaner. Another fine is if you eat and drink on the MRT, on the train or the bus. I think it's a good idea. The trains and the platforms and the train stations are super duper clean, like incredibly clean. Although it kind of gets annoying sometimes if you're just really thirsty and you just want to drink on the MRT, I think in the long term like it does really work, and yeah, it's just so clean. I can never get over how clean Singapore is. It's actually crazy. Some of them are weird and they still have capital punishment here, so like you can get caned, and there's a death punishment I think for doing drugs. It's kind of scary, but I mean the crime rate is super low here and it's really safe, so they're doing something right, you know. So that is the end of my vlog on all things Singaporean basically, and things that are quite different from say the UK or other places in Europe. Nevertheless, I love Singapore and I love all their quirky little things that they do. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you now have a little insight into what Singapore life is like. I hope any of my Singaporean friends that are watching have enjoyed this and all the random things that I think are very strange but you guys think are normal. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe.